Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hinei Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We are on chapter 3. Just starting chapter 3 today. Akavia ben Mechalal Loimer. Akavia, the son of Mechalal, said, look at three things and you won't come to sin. Know from where you come, and from where you go, where you're going. To whom you will be giving a accounting. From where do you come? From a putrid drop. Where are you going? To a place of maggots and worms. And who are you giving an accounting? In front of the Holy One, blessed be He. Let's see what Rabeinu Yonah has to say on this Mishnah. So when you look at where you came from, meaning a putrid drop, we all came from a cell, a single cell. When you think about that, you really contemplate it, right? Obviously it doesn't just help to say it one time, but to really, really ponder it for a long time. Think, where did I come from? It causes a person to be very humble. How could I be haughty? I came from a single cell, I'm a little drop. Shnemer, as it says, To'avas Hashem Kvog Alev. And that a person will be saved from the attribute of gaiva, of haughtiness, which is a very bad character trait. In fact, it says in Mishlei, Rabeinu Yonah quotes, that it's an abomination to God, anyone who is haughty. So if a person wants to instill with himself the trait of humility and not be a Baal Gaiva, someone who's haughty, just think, where did I come from? I came from a single cell, from nothing. And any time, even if a person thinks that he has all these talents, compared to Hashem, these talents are nothing. We can't even compare ourselves to Hashem. That's why Moshe knew the most Torah, because he was the humblest of all men. He was the humblest of all men because he had the biggest understanding of God. When a person really understands what God is, compared to a human being, Hashem is infinitely greater. So of course it's obvious to be humble. Okay. And where are we going? To a place of dirt, worms, and maggots. When you think where you're going, a person thinks where he's going, that eventually we're all going to end up in the ground. A person loses his desire for physical pleasure. What's the point of doing the physical pleasure? It's not going to be here forever. I'm going to eat a great hamburger, and okay, then what? I'm going to end up in the ground anyway. Begam kol ha'osher recovered also all the wealth and honor. Tivza, it'll be looked down upon by him. V'chol tova tabil, and all those good things will just be whatever. Ki hakol hevel uruas ruach. It's all nonsense, an evil wind. V'al inyan zeh asa shlomo melech olav shalom sefer koheles. That's why King Solomon wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, the Hischil, and it begins. The whole book's about this. Havel havolim amar Koheles. Emptiness of emptiness, vanities of vanities, says Koheles. Lahabil kotu v'choyakar, that everything is in vain, meaning every physical pleasure that people seek, they spend their whole lives attaining physical pleasures, money and honor. It's all nothing, because in the end of the day, we all end up in the ground. V'achar shehibil as hakol amar v'siyim. And after he says everything is vain, he ends off and he says, but there's something which is not vain, something is very important. Sof davar kol nishma, at the end of the day, es elokim yirav es mitzvos of shemor, a person should fear God and keep His commandments, kizeh kol adam, because this is all of a person. It's not just something important, but the whole person is to fear Hashem and to do the mitzvahs. Everything else doesn't matter, because it doesn't stay with us. And then we conclude, v'lifnei mi ata asid litein din v'cheshbon. All of creation was just made to fear Hashem. How could a person sin if he knows that he has to give an accounting of his life before Hashem? Forgetting the difficulties and the pain that a person suffers for sinning. A person should be very embarrassed to sin before Hashem. A parable to a king of flesh and blood. Let's say a person goes into front of a great king. If the king discovers that this person is lying to him or trying to trick him, this person will be supremely embarrassed. Halachas kama v'kama, all the more so, lifnei melech malchei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before Hashem. V'gam ki hisbayesh hanefesh, biyosa aruma min haguf. And also, when a person is no longer connected to his body, habusha hahi gedoyla kama v'kama mehabayisha shenizbayesh ba'odenu sham. Because after a person dies and he's separated from his body, the embarrassment that happens is much worse than the embarrassment when he's alive. Let's see why. Kiteva haguf mishakech. When a person has a body, the body forgets. If a person does something disgusting, he'll be embarrassed. He could be embarrassed for a year or two. Eventually he forgets it. Even though he might remember it in his mind, some of the embarrassment leaves him. He's not as embarrassed anymore. The body is we are composed of a body and a soul, and the body has a power to forget. If he's not able to forget something totally, it becomes old, and he forgets it a little bit. That takes away most of the embarrassment. When the soul is by itself, it doesn't forget. The soul doesn't forget. Everything is clear to the soul. There's no physicality in it whatsoever. When a person is embarrassed in front of Hashem, it's forever. He's going to feel embarrassed forever like that. Forever he's going to feel at that moment when he was embarrassed in front of Hashem. The Rabbi said, "Oh lo lo sabusha, woe to that embarrassment, oh lo lo saklima, and woe to that klima that also is embarrassment." Nevertheless, someone who puts these words on his heart, he'll never come to sin. And what are these three things? A person should think, where does he come from? A tiny drop, where's he going? The earth, the dust, and who's he going to have to give a judgment in front of God? And when a person thinks about these things and really, really, again, not just saying them quickly, but really contemplates them and really puts them on his heart, a person would never come to sin. Okay, and with that we finish the first Mishnah in the third chapter of Pirkei Avos. Have a great day.